What's up, everyone? This is the Infinite Jurisdiction Podcast, and I'm your host, Gonzalo. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new to this channel, welcome. This channel traces my law school journey, and its purpose is twofold. On the one side, this is going to be a creative project for me, just to help me better articulate my ideas and feelings and views about law school, and it's also just a nice historical document that may be interesting to look back on in the future. The second purpose is that hopefully I could impart to the viewers who are current, prospective, or future lawyers, I should say law students, that I can impart some advice from my humble position, just tips that I'm learning on the fly or have learned, or that I think are important and worth sharing. So the podcast normally is split into three parts. The first part is just kind of what I'm up to this week. The second part is I discuss a law school tip. And lastly, I discuss some bigger picture philosophical question that I'm thinking about during the week that relates to either being a lawyer or law in general. So with that laid out, let's begin. So beginning first with the weekly catch-up. What am I doing this week? The semester is going by pretty quick, so I've been really trying to focus on my classes and getting my outlines prepared. So personal stuff has been limited to a few recreational activities like working out and stuff like that, because most of my time has been focused on getting ready for midterms. So nothing too much on that front. As already hinted, law for school in particular, things are ramping up for midterms, so just getting prepared for that. So from a week's point of view, nothing particularly interesting, but just part of the everyday grind of being in law school. Moving next to my law school tip for the week. This week I wanted to talk about one's approach to lecture. Lecture has become an interesting pedagogical exercise. It's an incredibly old exercise for education. Probably going back to the Middle Ages when universities were first forming. And there's been considerable modifications to this exercise, where there is a teacher and they are discussing a topic, and there's several students and they're just there listening to him speak authoritatively on the subject at hand. This is the everyday experience of an undergrad student. In law school, it changes kind of significantly because of the Socratic method and cold calling, and interaction between the lecturer and the lecturee is increased. So there's more of a give and take, depending on the teacher, of course, but there's generally more participation from the listener as well as the speaker. So in that context of this old kind of way of teaching, everyone's going to have a different approach toward lecture and how they prepare for it and the purpose that it serves for them in their learning process. And here I just want to highlight that there are different areas of your learning process, right? There's just the at-home reading through the casebook, and you're going to have your own particular way of doing that. There's going to be your outline construction. You're going to have your own particular way of doing that. Office hours, etc. But the lecture, I think, presents itself as a very interesting arena where you could practice your legal skills. There are people who are very willing to participate and volunteer and really get themselves involved in the materials during lecture. And there are some people who just stand by and let anyone and everyone volunteer before themselves, and there are different reasons for that. You could just be shy, or you didn't read that day's readings, or whatever it might be. And I would have put myself in that latter category in my first year. I was very reluctant to participate. Whenever I did participate, it was either because I was cold called or because I had a very pressing question. But I think there is something of value to really push yourself to volunteer and raise your hand and get involved to a significant degree. Not so much so that you're hogging all the time, but as a personal challenge, try to raise. I've been trying to do this semester. Try to raise your hand at least once a day, or once a class, depending on, again, how often your teacher calls on people to volunteer. Again, you don't want to take all the limelight, but you do want to, make an effort to volunteer. And even if you're shy, this is a good idea. Even if your view of lecture is more of this thing I have to get through, just because I don't want to be marked absent, and it's not, you feel, an important part of your learning process. You do most of your learning, say, outside of the classroom. But I think it serves as the best way to practice live legal thinking, that depending on what kind of lawyer you're going to want to be, serves as good practice for just thinking on the fly legally. Being called on and having to think of the rule, the applicable rule, and then applying the facts that are relevant and articulating them verbally and, importantly, in front of other people, I think is just an important intellectual exercise that's going to serve you well in the long run. What was I? And I can't remember. My apologies. It's late, guys. But yeah, that's my advice for this week. Just, even if it really is bothersome. Oh, okay. Sorry. I remember what I was going to say. Apart from it being an interesting and useful intellectual exercise to, participate in what is hard legal reasoning in the moment, I think it's just a nice general way to get over public speaking anxiety and just build your confidence for being able to answer difficult questions in front of other students. Everyone, or I should say most of your classmates are equally petrified to be embarrassed in front of the classroom, and so they also have nerves, even those who are seen as very good public speakers. Even them even they have nerves when they're speaking. So apart from the intellectual exercise, it is just a good way to get yourself used to and get confident in your public speaking. So that's my tip for the week. Try to participate, guys, in your lectures. The last thing I wanted to talk about, the bigger philosophical question that I was thinking about, was leadership styles and slowly developing your individualized style. Again, depending on what kind of lawyer you want to be, probably most lawyers, though, you're going to be put in positions of leadership where you're at the head of some team and you're going to have to lead the team. And as simple as that may sound, there are a legion of skills that one has to develop to be successful as a leader. In college, we took a class, it was just on leadership, and we tried to get at the bottom of what it means to be a good leader, and there were so many things that you had to take into account. They have to be good communicators, both publicly and privately. They have to understand their particular area of expertise to get respect from everyone. They have to be engaged in a individualized relationship with each member of the team and know how to quote unquote coach people depending on their idiosyncrasies. Know who you could yell at or who not to yell at, if you have to yell at all. And these are the kind of things that are on my mind lately as I'm seeing more of how lawyers interact with, their paralegals or secretaries or other lawyers, other partners, and just seeing how other people go about doing their leading. And I haven't been put in leadership positions that are utterly filled with responsibility. There are times that I've taken the initiative and times that I've had to delineate responsibility and duties to other people, but nothing at the level what these lawyers are doing. So it's just been very educational to see how other lawyers go about this and their different style of doing this. That's my alarm to go to sleep. So I'm interested to see how my leadership skills grow and develop as I get closer to becoming an attorney. It's a completely different dynamic that I'm used to, where one's sole responsibility in how they act is to oneself, and other people aren't relying on you. They aren't looking to you for professional or moral or social guidance on how to do things. So this is an added layer of stress and responsibility, but it's also very exciting, I think, to be able to be in that position. And one has to, I think, reflect on why they're in that position, what they did to get there, what they need to do to advance not only their position as a leader, but everyone who looks to the leader as well, and your philosophy on all that stuff is just a huge area of oneself that goes into being a leader. Law school, I think, will teach you how to think like a lawyer, but there's so many tools and skills and traits that a lawyer has to develop, mostly outside of school. Things like their professionalism, their business savvy, their networking abilities, their communication skills, their ability to advocate, their ability to lead, just a whole host of things that you need to work on to be this lawyer. It's equal parts intimidating to have so much to work on, and equally exciting. Always challenges, always new things to learn, and there'll never be an end to improving and learning. So you just have to frame it in a positive way, I think. So start thinking about leadership and what it means to you, and let me know in the comments your views on this, and how you've taken steps to develop those skills, and also let me know about your views on your approaches to lecture. I think everyone has a varied approach to that, so those comments should be interesting. Anyways, that's the end of this podcast. Try to keep these to 15 minutes, but I'm long-winded. I'm also trying to work on that, but alas, I failed this week. But there's always improvements to be made. Again, leave comments on any of the aforementioned things I discussed. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.